Perfect. So the next panel that we'll be bringing up today will be to speak about innovators. So I'm going to introduce you here to Erin Shaw from Shaw TV, and she'll be your moderator for this panel.
Yes, that's me. Hello. So I think today is only redheaded moderators. I hope. No, I'm just joking. So I work at Shaw TV, and I have the luxury of meeting great people like you on a daily basis, and great. Oh yeah, come over here. Okay, thank you. Don't shun me. And so I meet great people like all you guys every single day. It's awesome. In fact, as a reporter, I've done stories with Joni, who's a friend of mine, on the Great Grilled Cheese Giveaway, and familiar with Jane and Paulina. They do great things in our community, and what we're here today to talk about is how we keep that up and what motivates them and how they keep their energy high. So what I'll do is I'll start off by passing the mic around, and everyone can introduce themselves and you know, their philosophy on making our city awesome.
Cool. Awesome. So my name is Paulina. I am the founder and right now president, transitioning to chair of the board for Young Women of Business. And we started this organization when I was 20 in my third year of university at UBC. And it started like a lot of good ideas start over many glasses of wine. We had been attending a lot of events around town, a lot of conferences, a lot of trade shows, etc. And we kept noticing a theme, and that was that there was one token woman on a panel, one token mentor maybe in the room, and we wanted to have all women and hear all of their awesome stories. So we started a conference called Beyond Pink, and we had one male speaker. All the rest of our 42 speakers were women, and that was awesome. And since then, what we've really been trying to innovate is the stories that we tell. So I'm actually not really very interested in the polished, glossed over stories of this is what went great, this was my life. I really, really, really love and dig the real, juicy, messy, this was the shittiest moment, I couldn't lift myself off my couch stories. I think they provide the context, and I think they let us look at the full picture, and really those to me are the inspiring moments, not just the I won this award, this went great for me. So that's how we're trying to innovate the stories that we tell, by showing what other stories are there. And I'll steal a Sheryl Sandberg quote of, we really want to see the stories of the jungle gym and not just going up the ladder.
Oh, you got it. I have my very own. My name is Joni McKervey, and I am the Cheese Executive Officer at the Amazing Grilled Cheese Giveaway. I'm also 1/3 of Can I Live, which is a new organization that is hopefully changing the face of dance parties for grown-ups in Vancouver. And primarily for the purpose of our talk, I'm here about the Grilled Cheese Giveaway, which is, I guess, an experiment in a local neighborhood event that practices spontaneous giving. And it started off two friends being really weird on a street corner with a grill and a megaphone. And it's grown. We gave away 1,000 sandwiches last year. We got a neighborhood grant from the Vancouver Society, and a ton of people just really into eating grilled cheese sandwiches with us and having a good time. And it's, I don't know, it's something different that we do, and we really love it. And it seems to be kind of having a ripple effect out into other places. And apparently there's one in Victoria now. Yeah, totally. Well, it's your idea too now. You go for it.
Grilled cheese domination?
Yeah, grilled cheese for everybody. Well, no, the Victoria one, their motto is free food for free people, which I really like.
My name's Jane Cox, and I run a brand and design company consultancy called Cause+Affect, almost reaching 10 years now in Vancouver. And we help companies define their culture, their identity, to really build their communities and grow their market share. So part of that on the side, that's sort of that's my day job, that's our business. But we also produce an event called Pecha Kucha, which is now it's in its 5th year. So 5 years ago, it was a very different scene in Vancouver. There were no events like this even, but there were no storytelling events. You can't even imagine that, because there's a million of them now. And but back then when we started, it really came from a place of, we were told Vancouver was the most livable city in the world. And I had just moved back from London, and I love London. I love Copenhagen, I love Antwerp, I love Paris, I love Lisbon, and I really wanted to love Vancouver. And livable just wasn't good enough for me. I was like, if this city's going to be my home, I want to love it too. And you know, coming from a design background, it's sort of, I think, probably a lot of you too, intuitive and natural in us to co-create and create the future. And so we really created Pecha Kucha out of, and I think, an intention to help make Vancouver the city we wanted to live in, and that was a more connected, a more cultural city, and a place where we really felt part of a community. So.
That's great. So now you three have all curated and created different amazing events and movements, but what I want to know to begin with is, how do you identify where that need is? Because as you said, 5 years ago, the city of Vancouver, even 10 years ago, hello, that was a long time ago, was really, really different. And you didn't see this many events. You didn't see as much spontaneous cheese giving, etc. So how do you identify? Like, I want to know how Joni comes up with the idea of, I want to give away grilled cheese sandwiches, or how you know that you want to get a bunch of people in a room and you want to have someone come and talk for 6 minutes about their favorite mushrooms. Like, where do these ideas come from, and how do you identify that niche? So whoever wants to take it.
Start with the cheese.
The cheese likes to go first. Well, I know, these ideas come, I think, out of friendship and out of, a real desire to connect with the people around you, and sitting around drinking wine, or going to Burning Man, and you have these ideas. You and a friend just look at each other and go, wouldn't it be cool? I think that's where it starts. Wouldn't it be cool? Wouldn't it be cool if this happened? Wouldn't it be cool if all of our friends could get together and have this event? Wouldn't it be cool if everybody had a place to go where they could be themselves and enjoy themselves, and be free of any anxiety, and feel really connected? And wouldn't it be cool if we just had a really good time one day with everybody on the street? And I think we do that a lot. Naturally we have these conversations where we wish that something would happen, or we dream up good ideas. And then the very next step is just, to me, setting a date. You go, okay, well, we're gonna do it and it's gonna happen on this date, and then you kind of have nothing left but to organize yourself to make that deadline. And so I can't really describe that little moment, but it's like everybody's having good ideas all the time, and then one day you just start acting on that idea.
I'll add what worked for us, because I so agree with you in the sharing of it and setting a date. We just told people about this idea, and we finally had 4 people that really cared about us call us our complete bullshit on it, and they were like, hey, you keep telling us it's a great idea at this conference. Are you ever going to get your shit together and do it? And we said, okay, well, we have to do it in the next 3 months if it's going to happen. And it did, because there was that sense of urgency and there was that date set, so that external accountability for us was really, really huge.
And I think some of the thinking behind starting Pecha Kucha in Vancouver was that we noticed a lot of cultural events that were happening in this city, and they were very small. It was small attendance at them. Our cultural institutions were struggling, and our philosophy behind creating Pecha Kucha, and actually fused for the Vancouver Art Gallery, which I think is also in its 5th or 6th year now. But when we brought that, the Vancouver Art Gallery is actually a really good example. They came to us and said, we're not reaching a demographic under 50 at that point. No one's coming to the gallery anymore. And Kathleen Bartels had been the director of the gallery for a couple years now, and she was really increasing the quality of the content at the VAG. But there was still a really poor attendance. And we came to them, they said, how do we improve this? And we came to them with Fuse. And the difference was that we created a social event with cultural significance rather than a cultural event with social significance. And that, it's subtle, but it's a huge difference in why that took off. And it's the same with Pecha Kucha. And it's the same with a lot of other events we've done in the city, and also the brands we've created for clients. It's because social is the most important, and it's what connects community, it's what brings meaning, and the cultural is the content of that, and that's what gives everyone, something to break the ice when they start the conversation. So Pecha Kucha is a social event with cultural significance. You know, you learn about the city, people get inspired, there's knowledge there, but ultimately it's the social that brings everyone back, and it's that social part why people want to go. The culture and the content give you something to talk about afterwards. So it keeps the conversation going, and I think that subtle difference was the key in the success of those types of events.
I think you're right on the money there when you think about having something to talk about, because not everyone in a city like Vancouver is used to interacting with people they don't know. I think we all know about the no fun city reputation that we have, which I think that we're all breaking now. But if you think of, if anyone knows the Be My Amigo events, which is basically just around, go and meet some strangers, go and talk to them. Sorry, I'm getting feedback. We're really trying to break through that, and I think it's really key that people do have something to focus on other than just meeting people and interacting, because I think there is some value in that. It's a fallback for some people. So it's a crutch, but a good crutch, right? And you think about events, I was helping organize Dîner Blanc this year, which was the big white party at the secret location that everybody maybe figured out a little early. But anyway, it was a really fun event, but it was the novelty that kept people engaged. I mean, it was great to be there with a bunch of your friends and picnicking outdoors. We've all done that before, but there was something really special about this. And you know, I think that we look at other cities and we're always like, why can't Vancouver be more like London or Antwerp or wherever? And I think, again, if you think about the Be My Amigo events, we're dealing with a Vancouver mindset, or a perceived Vancouver mindset. So I want to ask you guys, what are the challenges for you when it comes to creating these events and getting people to kind of slough off their old Vancouver ways of a few years ago?
Speak again. Yeah, that's really top of mind for us a lot in the work we do. And Vancouver has a reputation for being quite siloed, siloed in the creative community, siloed in the entrepreneurial community. We're a city full of entrepreneurs. There's a lot of small companies. And what we've noticed over the last 5 years, and I think this is sort of leading to where I think we can go, is that Vancouver, so 5 years ago, we lacked city pride. We heard a lot about no fun city. We heard a lot about, Vancouver sucks, nothing good happens here. We heard that a lot when we first arrived. And I think what's exciting is now I feel like we're busting with civic pride. I feel like people are proud to be Vancouver. They're proud to be from here, doing great things. There's lots of great content and work happening here. And you can just see from the variety of storytelling events that are happening now in the city, there's a lot to share. So I feel like sharing is at an all-time high. We're all sharing, we're loving each other, there's a lot of mutual respect. The thing I think, I guess what's in my mind right now is the more and more these little events pop around the city, again, they're starting to almost, we talk about cliques, but almost like creating more little cliques, more little silos. And it's like, this is what we were trying to get away from. So I feel like we need to be a little bit cautious of, rather than just doing what someone else is doing and drawing from your own community, you pull away from that community that they've already started, and then all of a sudden you've got, say, 10 events all doing the same thing, but they're just drawing on tight little communities. And I think we need to be more aware of how do we, instead of just starting something, thinking about ourselves, and starting something because we got excited about, oh, I want to do what they're doing and I'm going to do it in my own way and it's going to be different, to think, how can I add to what they're doing? How can I collaborate more with them? How can I build this so it's bigger and makes more impact and attracts the whole city, not just East Van or not just downtown, or, because I feel like that is further creating the silos we have in the city. And I feel the future is about collaboration and actually working more, and business models that help sort of develop that.
I think you're so on the ball. There's something so beautiful and magical about seemingly disparate communities coming together and creating something together. And yeah, I won't even add more.
I'm going to get a little controversial here, guys. I'm really into the community event. The AGCG is very much a neighborhood event, and the reason that we grew so quickly is because we propped ourselves up on a street corner and started doing something, and the people who lived on the street that we were on and down the block and up the street were coming by and discovering something new and surprising right like near their own home. And so that drew people out and talking to each other and meeting each other, and it turns out that they're neighbors, and that guy made her coffee yesterday, and and they start talking, they get to know each other, and it brings life to the neighborhood. And when I go, the things in the cities that I like to visit, that it's like, oh, why can't Vancouver be more like this place or that place? And it usually is because there feels like there's life on the streets, that each place that you go to, the people there are talking to each other and engaged with each other and looking out for each other and sharing with each other. And it has to do with community and communal activity. And so I agree with both of you guys that we should be bringing the whole city together. But from my perspective, with something like sandwiches, we can only make so many grilled cheese sandwiches. So
unless we help you.
Well, yeah, hey, everybody bring some cheese. And but I think we're doing two different things too. Is that there's like the street party, the car-free day, the movies in the park, like those kinds of things that are bringing each little neighborhood its own little flavor and bringing people from those areas together. And then when you can attend an event, if you can bring people from all over and get them together and talking, that's another different kind of beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's an interesting point you raise. Like, do you dilute what you're actually the essence of what you're doing by making it too big? Well, okay, so I want to talk to you, Joni, a little bit about Can I Live, which is a great night if anyone's available to go to it.
Everybody come May 3rd at the chapel.
It's really fun. Dancing. It's for adults who like to go dancing, who don't want to wear necessarily tight clothes, although they're welcome if you want to. And it's super, super fun. So where did you obviously saw a need for this, and I'd like to point out too, I'm someone who loves to go dancing, but I don't want to line up. I don't want to coat check. I don't want to do all that stuff. So I see a need, but how did you see the same need?
We felt a huge need for it. It came from just having house parties with a couple of friends, and we have a great group of friends, and we're not 22 anymore, but we're not dead, and we passionate about music and really like to move around. It's good. It's a good time, and so we were having these great house parties, and so many friends would come. That it started to burst at the seams, and we didn't want to have a negative impact on my friend's beautiful home or something like that, or like keep the 80-year-old neighbors up all night. We wanted to be respectful, and but we didn't know where to go. There was nowhere that we could attend, or didn't feel like there were many nights that we could attend that would give us what we were looking for. So me and two friends decided to try putting our own night together, and so we did, and it went really great. And the response that we got was incredible. Like, people are going, when is it going to happen again? Please, we need this. It's a time for us to go and let loose and have a good time without worrying about like nightclub bullshit and feeling old because there's everyone around you is 10 years younger than you. It's for our friends, and it's for me basically. I really like it.
You know what's great about it too, is that I don't know about you, but I used to feel like Vancouver had amazing house parties, and that was the thing that I did all the time. And I used to have this group of friends, and we called ourselves the Party Army, and we would go to all these things, and we'd do just house party hop, and it was super, super fun. And I don't know if I've aged out or if people live in smaller spaces now and it doesn't happen, but this actually felt like I was at someone's house, and I could be like, I went there and I'm like, oh, Joni? Oh, hi, yeah, nice to meet you. Like, there was a reason, there was that content already. It wasn't awkward, like, oh, so you're here to dance? Me too. It's like, who do you know here? And so that's what I think, why that kind of an event resonates. Anyway.
Thank you.
Yeah. And anyone else want to comment on that, or?
Do you like to dance?
Yeah, see,
I love to dance.
Talk to Joni later. Okay, let me just check. Are we okay for time here? Yeah.
We could go to some questions.
Yeah, do we want to go to some questions?
Yeah.
All right, let's go in the front.
So I was just curious, in these events, and you kind of touched on it when you got a grant from some society, how supportive has the city or various governmental organizations supportive of your?
Okay, I'm just going to repeat the question. The question is, how supportive is local government or city government with local events like grilled cheese and other kind of things are we supporting these kind of events?
Well, I think the city's always supportive of this, but our learnings have been you just got to do it, and then the support comes. And I guess that's coming from an entrepreneurial place, but I feel that we've always had the most success when you do it and you prove it, and then all the support comes to you afterwards. So with Pecha Kucha, we have been approached by probably every single cultural institution in the city to partner with us. The city itself, when they were launching their Greenest City strategy platform, they came to us to say, let's use Pecha Kucha to communicate to Vancouver about this. So I feel like you just got to do it. You got to get it out there, and then I think the good thing about that is you're not considering these stakeholders from day one. You're not thinking of their interest in terms of you keep it really real and authentic to your original values, and then you establish those values, you put them out there, and then you will attract like-minded people. And I think that's how you get your best partners, is that they actually come to you because you've proven, you're showing them what they're doing versus going to them first, waiting for the money, and then starting it off.
Yeah, and I think with some of these ideas, at first they seem a bit radical and a bit too different to work. So often, say, government organizations, or what we actually work with a lot are corporate organizations, we have to almost tame it down a little bit or translate it to a slightly different language to really be able to articulate that value that maybe doesn't seem as crazy or as radical as it was originally. And that's definitely what we found is we started just doing it on our own first before we talked to anyone. And for us, it was really important that we stuck true to what our values were and the way we wanted to do things, and then found partners who loved that and wanted to work with that as opposed to the other way around.
And often the corporate companies or the institutions, they want that radical, but if you started with that conversation, they're like, well, we can't do that. So then you actually, you have to prove it and show them the value.
Do we have more questions? Yeah, stand up.
Hi. You're all very different as far as cost structure, so like paid events versus free, and I'm wondering how you think that plays a role in the vibe of the event.
I'm just going to repeat it for the camera. So the question is, how does paid versus free events affect the vibe of events?
Yours and in general, maybe you can answer.
Sure. That's a really great question for us specifically, especially with the grilled cheese giveaway. It's expressly free, but it costs money. Cheese is expensive. We did receive a grant last year, and we've actually decided to go unsponsored again this year for the 4th annual, because we need to be able to keep it as weird as we want to. And when you take money from people, there comes along the expectations and maybe certain limitations on the ideas that you can, run with. So we're very conscious of maintaining the vibe and the freeness. And if there are any millionaires in the audience who want to help us buy cheese and don't care what we do with that money, then please talk to me, because otherwise it changes things. Money and sponsorship change how you can operate, and then that changes the end impact on the person who attends your event. And then ticketed events, the first Can I Live was free. The next one is going to cost a cover charge, and I had some reservations about that because it's going to change who comes and what people expect and what they're looking for when they come. But it's kind of a necessary evil so that everyone can have a clean bathroom.
I have a few comments on that. One is, so Pecha Kucha is an event that runs all over the world. I think it's 600 plus now. And some of them are free. Some of them happen in bars with 20 people. Even in large cities in Tokyo, they're very small events. In Vancouver, we're at the Vogue, and we sell out to 1,200 people every time. And we have been for the last maybe 2-3 years now. And so we've always tried to figure out that balance. And the venue itself costs more than half of the revenue that comes from ticket sales. And we had to figure out, if we're going to keep this event going, how do we keep it sustainable? Because you can't suffer from doing what you want to do in the community. So you have to find that balance. And I feel also that, like how you said, with money comes expectations, and I think that's a good thing, actually. And when people go and they spend $16 to go see a movie in a theater, And we have 12 presenters with awesome content, and it's a quality experience. Like, I think sometimes it's natural for us to feel bad about charging for something, but I feel it creates expectation, and you have to live up to that expectation. So if someone's paying X amount of money and the experience doesn't match that, then you've got to align that. So.
Yeah, and I think as an attendee, when you come to an event that you have paid for, or you're part of a, say, membership structure or something that's ongoing, you also set different expectations of your own engagement with that event or with that community. You kind of place it upon yourself, you know, I'm paying this, I want to get the most out of there. I'm really going to show up, and I'm going to make sure I make those connections and take all those learnings as my own.
Okay. Any more questions?
Hi. I'll ask him. So there's a lot of talk about engaging Vancouver, which is a really diverse city, and with events. And I'm wondering how you create a safe space for different communities to connect, you know, within the realm that you set up.
Okay, so sorry, one more time, how do
you create spaces for diverse communities to connect as you outreach and, you know, outreach to those different communities and YWiB?
Okay, so how do you create safe spaces for diverse communities as you continue with your outreach? Okay. What do you mean by safe space?
Yeah. So how are you keeping your event accessible, and how do you approach a city that is full of flex space perfect?
Okay, so inclusive, welcoming, physically safe, physically accessible. That's a tough one.
A few thoughts on that one. One, I think you were mentioning, you know, the starting from a community, the events that kind of start in a community and then it's a neighborship, so it's very organic and evolves out of that community. And I think those are obviously very important because it gives that community identity, but then how you can connect to another community is very important. So it may not be your event that keeps growing into other communities, but there may be another event or initiative that you collaborate with. And that's, I think, where there's a lot of richness, and you bring two diverse groups together, and one may be about music and one may be about grilled cheese sandwiches, but you've brought two totally distinct groups, but you probably will find there's a lot of like-minded values there. And I think also inclusiveness, like when we talk about ticket price, like you're always listening to your audience. Like that's one thing I think when you know what you're doing resonates, is people are talking to you. We have the most vocal, critical, full of passion. Like they tell us if something really bothers them, if something they love, like we hear from our audience all the time. And I think it's just really important to keep listening. And people tell you interesting things that make you think differently. So I think that also keeping your ear on the ground and listening to the community and the people that attend is really important for that.
Yeah, and as an organization, it's then on the organization's plate to create a culture of yes and kind of welcoming those suggestions. So one of the events that we do on a pretty regular basis is just wine chats, where we just go to a bar, tell our members we're going to be there for a couple hours, and really encourage them to come out and chat. There's no speaker, there's no anything outside of, hey, we just want to listen and hear. And some of our greatest ideas and events really come out of that, and really want to have those conversations, because at the end of the day we can come up with 20,000 ideas, but unless it's something that resonates with outside of my brain and a few other people's brains, then it's not going to be great.
So I think we have to...
Okay, I think we're finished. Thanks everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We'll just leave these. So our next talk is actually a conversation between Lisa von Sturmer from Growing City.